Have you heard about the massive SpaceX Super Heavy rocket launch? Let's talk about how Elon Musk admired and praised the fully stacked Starship after it's been properly placed on the launch tower for a reusable launch, even without FAA's approval. Except for Elon Musk and SpaceX, no one in the history of rocket engineering has ever created this concept in space that the spaceship will demonstrate, not even in simulation. There have been a lot of rockets built throughout the years, but no one like this one. The first stage Starship and the Super Heavy rocket, each of which have their own engines. Both rockets will be launched into space, and at a certain altitude in orbit, both starships will be separated, with the second stage, known as the Starship, continuing on its journey to other planets and space, and the Super Heavy booster returning to Earth, where it'll be caught by the Megazilla stand during landing. Even a major player like NASA, which has been in the industry for almost 60 years, has been unable to wrap her head around Elon Musk's rocket invention, and as a result, they have sent most of their most key projects to SpaceX for Elon and his team to handle. The harsh reality is that for the next 50 years, everyone will remember Elon Musk and SpaceX for literally inventing a rocket like the spaceship and Super Heavy. The most amusing and intriguing aspect is that the Starship's operations will be autonomous, requiring little or no human supervision. After launching the spaceship on the launch pad at Starbase Boca Chica, Elon is on the verge to do another crazy stuff with it. Just after his engineers have properly positioned the 394 feet tall spacecraft on the launch tower, and he has taken his time to admire it, he reveals to the world his hidden motives for dedicating his life and resources to making the Starship operate effectively. Elon's statement goes like, "Can you tell me why we're doing this? I mean, it's impressive, but what's the deeper message here? Like, why construct a massive reusable rocket? Why is it necessary to make life multi-planetary?" He asked himself all these questions and simply answered and said, "I simply think this is a huge deal for the future of life. On Earth, there's always the possibility that something may go wrong. Dinosaurs aren't around anymore," he added, but he went on to explain why that was so inspiring. It's not enough to solve difficulties in life. There must be things that stir your heart and inspire you. When you get up in the morning, you're thrilled about the future, about being a multi-planet species, about being a spacefaring civilization, and about making science fiction a reality. I believe it's one of those things. It's what gets me the most riled up. Let's go see what this cosmos has to offer. So, hope now you know exactly Musk's ambition for creating the Starship. Let's go to acknowledge more and more interesting stuff. The 165-foot-tall SN20 was put atop Booster 4 during the nighttime Starship stacking. There are the two parts that will undertake Starship's maiden suborbital test flight. As soon as John Krause, one of the youngest spaceflight photojournalists in the US, saw this, he tweeted, "It's a new day at the gateway to Mars. SpaceX's SN20 and B4 have been fully stacked at Starbase in South Texas, creating a stunning, fully stacked Starship." Of course, he was excited to make a tweet like this, but he is one of SpaceX fans. SpaceX has actually carried out previous test launches, and it got to around 6 miles and only used 3 or fewer of the new powerful Raptor engines in the upper portion of the combined rocket. Though the orbital version will still be paired with a Super Heavy booster, which is said to have 39 Raptor engines, 33 on the booster and 6 on the Starship. The results of an environmental study done by the Federal Aviation Administration was expected to be announced on February 28th, but why haven't we heard any news about it? Or it FAA becoming to a hindrance to shut down Musk's ambition? We never can tell anyways. Before trying to launch from Texas, several environmental organizations have urged for SpaceX to go through a more rigorous environmental impact statement procedure. Meanwhile, at Kennedy Space Center, SpaceX has started work on a second launch complex to enable Starship flights. SpaceX has already completed an environmental impact statement for the site when it was only planned to utilize it for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy launches. When it launches, the rocket will be the most powerful ever to take off from Earth, with a push of more than 16 million pounds. This roughly doubles the strength of planned Artemis missions and more than twice the power of Apollo missions. When combined with the rocket, the Starship design may be utilized for suborbital point-to-point flights on Earth, as well as deep space missions to the Moon and Mars. For the first time since 1972, a version of Starship will be built to assist the Artemis 3 mission, which will return people to the lunar surface. Musk said, "Right now, our focus is on going to orbit and demonstrating the return of the launcher and spacecraft. We'll have a high production rate, so we're not completely reliant on full reusability, but it's the basic breakthrough that will transform the direction of human civilization and enable us to become a multi-planet species." I think he meant to say all this to fulfill his heart's desire at the same frequency of human understanding. He invited the throng assembled to hear him speak to have a closer look at the stacked Starship and Super Heavy booster at the conclusion of the night. "Let's go as hard as we can in order to create an interesting future," Musk remarked. Musk posed in front of a jet black Starship completely piled on the 23-story Super Heavy booster that would heave it into orbit at SpaceX's rocket development facility in Boca Chica, Texas. Musk, dwarfed by the massive launch system, assured the gathering that the rocket will be ready to soar into Earth's orbit for the first time shortly. "At this point, I'm really optimistic that we'll reach orbit this year," Musk stated. NASA has selected Starship to put people on the moon for the first time since 1972. The date for the lunar expedition has been scheduled to be 2025. Before Starship can transport anyone anywhere, SpaceX must demonstrate that it can safely travel to and from space. But Musk's intent right now is to at least let the Starship be launched into orbit and wait for it to return to Earth and watch the epic scenario when it'll be caught by the Mechazilla Tower. According to Musk's words, even though SpaceX anticipates failure, we will try, and try again. Musk has already stated that the first orbital launch is unlikely to succeed. He made it clear during a video chat with members of the National Academy of Sciences in November that he wasn't certain that Starship will enter Earth's orbit on its first attempt, but that he expected SpaceX to do it in 2022. Musk has a habit of predicting early launch dates, but will this particular prediction be feasible this year? Let's keep watching out. This time, the technological and regulatory stars may align in his favor for a 2022 orbital test launch, as he predicts. The Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) intends to have completed its environmental evaluation of the Boca Chica launch location, which Musk refers to as Starbase. Before it can launch orbital starships from Boca Chica, SpaceX must first get that approval. We don't have a lot of information of the FAA's current situation. We've obtained a rough indication that a clearance may come in March. Musk made this announcement himself. He also mentioned that the hardware for the Starship Super Heavy should be ready to fly around the same time. SpaceX is still working on a few improvements to the rocket, like as adding extra thrusters. In fact, following his fate, he said, "I believe we're on the verge of having the hardware ready to launch. Right now, I believe we're on pace to receive regulatory permission and have hardware ready at the same time. I'm hoping for a couple of months for both." SpaceX may also need to create a new environmental impact statement, which could take up to 3 years depending on the FAA's conclusions. SpaceX's ambitions to drill natural gas wells and construct gas-fired power stations in Boca Chica may cause the environmental study to be delayed. Do you believe SpaceX will be able to lift off the full stacked Starship to the outer Earth's orbit this year? Be sure to check out your favorite SpaceX video here.